After the abysmal showing of The Acolyte, with ratings falling to the point that perhaps 90% of viewers who once loved Star Wars are now gone, we'll tell you about that in a moment, it looks like, folks, there will not be a Season 2 of The Acolyte. At least, it's unlikely. And today in this video, we're going to tell you why and what we know. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, lightsaber holders of all ages. No, those are not phallic symbols. They are simply, well, stabbing machines of great plasmic power. Just like our good friend who's joining us today, Culture Casino. Welcome back, sir.
Well, that's a wonderful introduction. Thank you, Pro, and I appreciate being here for this wonderful, soon-to-be-celebrated news.
Have you ever been described as a man of great plasmic power before, Culture?
I don't know. I'd have to ask the boss. Maybe she'll tell me.
Probably. People whisper it as you walk by. The whispers as the Acolyte walks by, Culture, those whispers are that it's gone, it's done, it's over. I've heard from quite a few channels and personalities out there that they think that it's going to be made. There's still an off chance that's going to happen, but we've got an exclusive here today that we want to talk about. And folks, we're going to give that to you without any delay. The only thing we ask of you is consider clicking the like button as we do. All right. Culture, we've got a track record. Folks are free to believe what we have to say here, or they can dismiss it. That's fine by me. Folks, take this with a grain of salt. It is rumor and speculative territory because we're talking about a potential future product that is not yet made and may not be made. So here we go. Culture, what I am told by a source who has been correct in the past regarding Lucasfilm with very high specificity of correctness, AKA, go back, folks, and listen to us tell you that the Rey movie was going to be happening right before they announced it, and that Daisy Ridley would walk across the stage of the Star Wars celebration right before it happened. Go watch. But said source tells me, Culture, that Leslie Headland does not, as of right now, have a contract for a Season 2 of The Acolyte. Said source tells me that following the finale of Season 1 and the results that may have been coming in weeks ahead, this decision may have come in weeks ahead of the finale. There are no current plans to develop a Season 2. That could change. Kathleen Kennedy can always make that decision as long as she has a contract, which we believe she has a contract up until October of this year, and it may be continued past that, but that's when the current contract would end. So Kathleen Kennedy could, go ahead and approve that. But as of right now, we are told there are no plans, there are no movements, there's nothing in development for a Season 2 of The Acolyte. And I'll finish with this and get your thoughts on it. My source tells me, Culture, that everything in Season 1 indicates that they did plan on doing a Season 2, especially with the way the show ends. But as of right now, that continuation of the story seems to be on indefinite hold, indefinite pause. Culture, your thoughts on this one?
Oh, I think that's absolutely right. I think, first of all, I would have been surprised had they elected to continue to make this show because of just the falling off of all the ratings. I mean, not if you discount what's coming out of Illuminate and just look at Nielsen and anything else, it's very disappointing for them, I'm sure, but embarrassing might be a more appropriate word. As far as how the show ended specifically, or the first season, or as our English folks would say, the first series.
I think we're getting close to just saying the end of the show, but yes, the end of the first season. Yeah,
I would say it was definitely there to further explore a romantic relationship between, the evil Sith, which aren't evil anymore. Yeah, Shmilo and Osha, Shmosha.
There you go, Shmosha. That's the perfect word. Thank you, Shmosha. All right, so we talked about at the beginning of this video, this drop-off. I want to explain why we can very reliably say that 90% of Star Wars fans exited with this show. The reason we can say that, folks, and we've explained it to some degree in the past, we'll say it one more time. The Mandalorian Season 2 finale, that was the biggest episode in terms of registering on any kind of ratings chart that we've ever seen.
Right.
Now, when The Mandalorian Season 2 began, and when The Acolyte began, we saw a huge difference in the number of viewers there. And then we saw The Acolyte decrease in popularity in terms of ratings with every episode until it finally wasn't even charting to any degree that we could possibly find it. It was so low that the systems which chart television and streaming shows no longer registered it. That's how few people were watching. The Mandalorian season 2, however, it rose with every episode and crescendoed, folks, with a musical term, with the finale, which was the number one thing watched on any streaming platform, period, the week that it aired. Now, what that means is that if you started with this huge disparity, this huge delta between the viewers at the beginning of these two seasons, Mandalorian season 2, Acolyte season 1, if the delta already existed and then that delta increased every single episode, then you will arrive essentially at a 90% drop off of finale versus finale. So you might say that Mandalorian season 2, the last episode, that was the high point. That was the best that Disney has ever done with Star Wars. And that was the return of heroic Luke. It was pre the firing of Gina Carano, etc. And you could say that this latest show, that it's likely that this might be down in Willow territory. It might actually be worse. It's definitely worse than Andor. And so, Culture, it was a shock to us that Andor was renewed for another season because it performed so terribly. Can you walk us through why you think Andor might be renewed and why this one now, according to our source, appears to be on indefinite pause, like a Rian Johnson trilogy?
Well, I mean, I would surmise that perhaps there was more to it. There was more meat to the bone. They had a lot of positive response despite the lack of ratings. Fans weren't necessarily out there going after the show. You had positive reception by not just critics, but like folks that operate in our sphere, in our space. I think that kind of speaks volumes as a happy middle ground that maybe Lucasfilm would rather feed. But as far as, again, as we've been pointing out, the Acolyte show has done nothing but create more divisiveness, and I would say Andor didn't do that. So it probably is going to cost less in its second season than you would expect from the Acolyte going forward. There was much of the Acolyte shot in location or on location in actual places, whereas not so much maybe for Andor. So I imagine they can reduce expenses there. Most of the assets are already built. All of the physical sets are still built and probably maintained. And, as you spoke to, that Headland didn't have an extensive contract. It seemed like a one and done. And if she doesn't have one for season 2, they would have to sign her again and she'll be more expensive, maybe. I don't know. But what I do know is that if you make Star Wars that's not divisive, you have a better chance of getting another season. That's my speculation.
Well, that's a great point, Culture, because what we've watched is with Twisters and with Inside Out 2 and Despicable Me 4 and, every other film that has come out basically in the past 2 or 3 years, if it's just not woke, if it's just not divisive, if it just avoids political messaging, then it's going to make tons of money. It's like audiences are desperate to go back and watch things.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is not be woke. And The Acolyte was as woke as it could possibly be. Andor doesn't seem to have been, even though they messaged that it would be. And I want to show you this real quick, Culture, and get your thought on it.
Yeah.
Disney's not in a great place today versus, what they might have been with Andor. Andor, of course, is still not a success story. Terrible ratings.
Yeah.
It was planned to be like a 5 or 6 season show, and they've reduced it to 2. And so they're just going to try and end that story. So that's a failure. That's not good. The Acolyte might get nothing, but this might be why. Disney down tremendously over the last just 5 days, down 3.5%, and it's been dropping. If we were to take a look at the 6 month, you can see we're back down now into the same territory that brought forth proxy battles against Disney. And what does this have to do with the Acolyte? Well, Culture, I would suggest that this is a Disney yet again in decline. And a Disney in decline doesn't have the money or the time to continue trying to wage war with its own fan base. Disney has to win back fans. It seems to me they're getting ready to do that with Marvel. I think they're going to do everything in their power to get Marvel out of the woke culture war. Star Wars is not there right now. Star Wars is headfirst at the lead of the culture war. What say you? Does the stock impact this at all?
Of course it does. I mean, and again, even if you do pivot back with Marvel to, a different direction, you are starting in an enormous hole because of the costs of reshooting everything that you've done to try to repivot Marvel into something different, which I think is now the mutant age. I'm not sure if that news is broken officially yet, but
Yes.
that's the direction they're pivoting. Now, I'm going to introduce an idea that's based on, well, exploring more, which is on the right-hand side of this screen.
I'm glad. I was going to use the word Delta again. Go for it,
Yes.
Culture. Do it, please.
Yes,
I see green.
yes, and as you can see, the broader market is starting to make a recovery after a terrible Tech Friday and Saturday, obviously, in a non-trading day. But as you can see here, Amazon, Netflix, Apple, Microsoft, they're all trending upwards. So while the broader market is trending the right way, Disney is trending the wrong way. And this is the funny thing, bro, and I think you'll agree with this. Iger likes to fancy Disney as a tech company, not an entertainment company. And, well, the rest of tech seems to be doing rather well.
Well, I mean, listen, Netflix is definitely squarely in the entertainment sector, and Netflix is up 3.2%. All
Sure.
right. And Disney at the same time, they're down 1.5%. And this is a continuance of Disney's slide, of course. If you look at the one day, Disney down in just one day, another 2% today. So this is not going well for the House of Mouse. It's not going well for Bob Iger. We could see, especially if this drops back into the 80s, if it drops and stays in the 80s, which that Disneyland strike could do it, you could see another attempt at a takeover of the board. And it appears Disney is already girding themselves to try to prevent that from happening by eliminating board seats. This company changes the number of board seats unlike any corporation I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. Somebody needs to take notice of that and say, hey, this is not musical chairs over here. Sorry, it's not a small board. It's a small world. Get over it. Yeah. But Culture, the thing that I'm really watching here is if Disney is on the downfall again, I just don't think they're in a position to try to take the lead on saying, we will go against our fans. We will go against our audience. You will take this Star Wars sludge and you will like it. I think that it's the last straw wars and fans are gone. Ooh. And I think the Acolyte did it. I think, listen, Ahsoka was atrocious. Mm-hmm. The Acolyte did to the Jedi what the Last Jedi did to Luke Skywalker. And I think that at this point, you either got to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy or you just got to say to your investors and your third parties, we hate your guts. We don't want any money. Please don't give us money. Please.
Well, can I just suggest one more thing? And this is something that everybody should be aware of, because if you want to use Netflix as the singular example versus Disney,
I've seen Stranger Things before. Go for it.
Netflix is 3 times plus more valuable than Disney right now, and it's a streaming service.
You better not tell the Dow that. Don't tell the Dow, Culture. They might get some twitchy fingers over there at the Dow if you inform them how much better Netflix is performing than Disney, the entertainment exemplar.
Well, exactly, and that's the problem. The biggest entertainment company, as we say it isn't. It's, if you look in comparatively, Netflix is the biggest entertainment company. They're 3 times plus more valuable. When their stock moves 3% up, that's a bigger move than Disney could possibly have at times because of how much their shares are. You're seeing a lot of things looking at, Netflix being the dominant entertainment company, and all these studios that should be plugged into entertainment are just falling by the wayside. Disney's leading the charge despite their stock price comparatively to, obviously, Paramount, who's in the middle of an acquisition, Warner Brothers Discovery, et cetera, et cetera. All of them took a wrong turn and tried to compete with Netflix, and it destroyed the value in all of their companies. I think people need to pay attention to that and question why Disney is continuing to double down into that space and in doubling down into original content, which adds no value to the company at all and no value to the people that are consuming anything on those streaming services.
Well, I think you're exactly correct. And I want to draw attention to this before we go.
Yeah.
Just because we're not going to get another Acolyte season, according to this source, at least that's in question, right? There's no development happening right now, according to that source, and a source that we trust pretty darn well. You folks out there decide what you want to do with it. Mm-hmm. Whether or not we get that next season of The Acolyte, we're getting this. And I don't think there's any better poster out there that epitomizes how far wrong Star Wars has gone than this, Culture. And I'll explain why. Whether or not we get another Acolyte season, whether or not Andor's any good, this is example number one that they don't understand their brand, and they don't understand their franchise, and they don't understand the value of the IP. I know I might be roasted over the coals, but I am not afraid. Folks, I live for the coals. Star Wars is largely a boys' brand,
Yes.
and that's why it was purchased.
Yes.
So is Marvel. And there are girls' brands. The Disney princesses are largely a girls' brand. Star Wars is largely a boys' brand. When I look at this poster, I see evil robot, girl, Gonzo from the Muppet Babies, girl, Skull. That's what I see. And so what this looks like to me, and perhaps this won't be what the show is, but it doesn't matter because nobody's going to watch it because Acolyte ended that. But what this looks like to me from the messaging is, hey, do you want to see baby Leia again? It says to me, hey, do you want to see if the girls were Goonies in space? That's what we have here. So I think they are completely mistaken in what their mission is with Star Wars, which is sell action figures, sell video games, and you do it by creating new stories that little boys will love. And that's gone. They are determined to turn this into a young adult Bridgerton franchise. And you know what? The people who love Bridgerton, they're watching Bridgerton. Yes. And they're not leaving Bridgerton. Culture, your thoughts on this one?
Well, I was hopeful for this because the director of this, the person that's in charge, Lee Isaac Chung, was pretty invested in this. He was the gentleman who just produced a very successful Twisters at the box office. And, that had a lot of hope. But as you point out, and from what we've learned, what you're presenting is and could be exactly right. And if that's the case, you don't have that kind of interest in boys are not going to be interested in Bridgerton.
Watch this, Culture. Watch this. And I hate to be the pessimist who destroys hopes and dreams, but watch this.
Okay.
Culture, was James Mangold a great director, highly admired before Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny?
Yes.
What happened when he got with Kathleen Kennedy?
They basically sucked the life out of a character that had a deep customer base that loved him.
I mean, you listen, Kathleen Kennedy has a particular skill. Okay. I hate to go Liam on you for a moment. She has a particular skill. And that particular skill is bleeding the life out of every director's career she can. She will take a budding talent and tarnish it in a heartbeat. She's great at it.
Well, I'll ask you.
Please.
Has J.J. Abrams done anything since the third Star Wars film?
I think he's somewhere in a mystery box still.
Okay.
And because there's no end, he neither will get out of that. Anyway.
What about Mr. Onion? Mr. Onion's just making onion things, right?
I think he's still got a trilogy somewhere.
Okay.
Maybe.
I would say that there is a talent apparently in Lucasfilm, and it's basically ruining careers. And I'm afraid that it may ruin actors' careers now. It certainly hasn't helped writers. And I would say Leslie Headland is kind of compromised at the moment. But
I somewhat kid about this, Culture, but Ron Howard retired.
He did.
That was all he had in him. He said, "I've had enough of this." But no, to your point, and Culture,
it wasn't his fault, but yeah.
No, but he, that was all he could handle. Before we go, I've been having a good time asking people this question, so I'll ask it of you.
Okay.
Did you ever think that and this is what Leslie Headland asserts, not Pro. Pro has a working brain. No sane person would ever invent such a thing. Okay. Did you ever see lightsabers in the original trilogy and think phallic? That's a phallic symbol. That's the patriarchy. Those lightsabers. You ever get that?
No, I kind of just thought of swords.
Did you ever watch the Last Jedi? And I know it was painful, and most of us have blocked it from our mind. But did you remember when they copycatted the Empire Strikes Back, and Ray had to go into the dark space. Did you ever see that and think, well, that's a moist cave, and that represents femininity somehow? Did you ever do that?
No.
Okay, just checking. I don't even tend to say moist on this channel, but Leslie Headland did, so we're there doing it. Culture, I think I can see why there probably will be no season 2 of The Acolyte. Just based on those 2 things she said. And there's about 100 more that she did before this season was over. So no shock.
Wow. Yeah, you're right.
Culture, you know what is shocking to me?
Hmm.
There are still some people out there who are not yet subscribed to your amazing content, your channel, as well as that gameplays. Could you tell the folks out there, the few who remain, who wish to be part of the flock of the Good Shepherd Culture, can you tell them about it?
Sure, yeah. Check out Culture Casino. It's the main channel, of course, and I also contribute to something that you just mentioned, that game place. But speaking of the primary channel, once again, I'm very close to 25,000. I do videos almost every single day. I do daily live streams, plus I'm always engaged in doing stuff with, obviously, my friends, WDW Pro, and everybody at that park place. So I would subscribe to all the channels. We've got a great group of them. But my channel, if you just swing by there, throw a subscribe, watch a few things, I think you'll stay for a long time.
Culture, am I allowed to attend the 25K celebration?
Of course you are. Not only that, you're one of the guests of honor, my friend.
Folks, you are truly, though, the person of honor we'd like to have join for that 25K celebration. And if you're not yet subscribed, make the party happen even sooner by clicking the button. Folks, you can also do us the same favor right here. Become an active participant in the conversation by clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. Hit the notification bell, drop a comment right on down below. Let us know your thoughts, because they truly do matter, and we mean it. Folks, we'll see you real soon. Big time pro show coming up tomorrow at noon Eastern, where we've got another exclusive, this time in regards to Marvel. Can't wait to share it with you. And Deadpool and Wolverine, the live review happens this Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We will see you there. Folks, until then, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
You better hang on to your feathers, little bird. They need to put you in the show.
What? Jose, what are you listening to? You don't even have ears.
Vacation Radio 24/7. Original music on YouTube. Vacation Radio. WDW Pro's music channel.
I have no idea what you're saying. But if you want to be listening to music, you should head over to Vacation Radio 24/7 on YouTube. One of the 100 other channels WDW Pro's been working on. Oh, and I have a song for you, Jose. Jose Cowabunga. He is Jose Cowabunga. He's Jose. That one seems a little bit foreign to you.